You guys, I have wanted to make a video like this for a while. So we asked for your questions about sex and the wedding night.
Tiffany really loves to take people's questions about sex.
I love this.
The more questions, the better. And I have to say, you guys really came through.
You came through.
I think there were hundreds,
Yeah.
hundreds of questions.
It was so hard to choose which ones to answer.
Yeah, we sat through the other day just going through all lists of questions with highlights. I think there were 13 pages.
Yes. And
good questions.
Really good questions. So we're actually making 2 videos because why limit it to 1 when you can do 2 videos? And so today we're going to talk about before the wedding night because there were a lot of questions about that. Like everything from waxing to lingerie to like being worried about being seen naked with your husband. And then tomorrow we'll post a video on our actual wedding night and walk you through that story.
Yeah, so we got engaged in January, married in August.
Mm-hmm. And so his mom, for my bachelorette party, actually sent along a gift for me with one of my friends. And it was this book called Intended for Pleasure. And it talked all about, it was a great resource.
You should bring that. I think at one point during our sexual escapades on our honeymoon, we stopped and we said, we need to find the book. And we went and we got the book out of our luggage. Like,
we totally did. It was so helpful. So when I got that book, I was like, James, I am reading this book right now. Do you want to read it with me? And he was like, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, and someone asked about this. I legitimately thought if I start thinking about this too much, this is going to just ratchet my temptation level up even further. So tell me what I need to know.
Yeah, so I read the book and there were some different parts I highlighted and underlined, specifically parts that had to do with what I was nervous about. So
that we could talk about them.
So we could talk about them.
And have a plan.
Right. So those are the parts that I told James about. And so a lot of you asked, like, what did you do beforehand to prepare for the pain? Like, was there anything you can do beforehand? So that was one of the things we talked about. I visited my OBGYN. I read this book. It talked a lot about how to make it less painful and different ways you could do that. And so I asked James, there's some things that I can do ahead of time, or there's things we can do on our honeymoon, but that means we wouldn't be able to have sex itself for the first few days. And I was like, what would you prefer? And you said, I want to do it together.
Yes. Yeah, because I figured it would be a special experience together.
Right, a really bonding experience. So I was like, okay, so that was our plan. And if you want to hear specifically like what we did, we have our course, The Wedding Night Talks, that talks all about like, how do you have sex? Like, what do you do beforehand or at the wedding to like help it not hurt for the women? So check out that course. It's linked down below.
Yeah, because people ask a lot about resources like, I'm not sure how to have sex. Do I need to watch porn? Do I need to masturbate so I understand how all of this works?
Watch The Wedding Night Talks.
Yeah, because I think the answer is there are some great resources out there that are not pornography, that are not masturbation. And you can get a resource that's just really informative.
So something else a lot of you asked about was body insecurities. And you wrote, one of you wrote this: how do you deal with body insecurities with sex? I have cellulite, stretch marks, big hips, a small chest, and I feel like my future husband will be disappointed when he sees me. So the first thing I would say is talk with your fiance about that. That's huge to talk about. And I have a few thoughts for you here because a lot of you wrote in this question, so you're not alone. For us, this is some advice that you might not be expecting. I was really nervous about my belly. I think a lot of women have like one specific part of themselves they're particularly like self-conscious of. And for me, that's always been my stomach. And so
self-conscious is generous. But sometimes it really just devolves into, I hate X body part so much.
Yeah, it's
so
true.
much. It's so ugly.
I'm not proud of that, but that is true. And so I was really nervous for James to see my stomach for the first time. But that happens.
It just sounds so funny.
I know, it does.
I think your stomach looks great.
Thank you.
Along with the rest of your body.
Thank you. And so when we first went to the beach together was the first time he saw my stomach. And that was before we got married. And I think that helped me on the wedding night feel more comfortable being naked in front of him because he'd already seen my stomach. Like, we're okay. Like, what he has seen, he really likes. He would love to see more, not right now, but down the road. Yeah. And so by the time we got married, I guess I was just really excited to get naked in front of him. I was like, this is awesome. Like, another thought for you is if you're really struggling with how you feel about yourself, I think on some level, that's an issue that we women wrestle with. I know for friends of mine, they're like, my husband tells me I'm beautiful all the time, but like, I still don't believe him. I still feel ashamed. I still feel self-conscious. And you need that affirmation from your guy. But you also need to work on some of that yourself. That's something that I did a lot of work on actually before we met. And so by the time we met, even though I was self-conscious about my stomach, in general, I had started to really like my body. And it took me years to get there and to really find that place. But I'd encourage you even now, whether that's finding a counselor or a mentor, just do what you need to do to start learning how to love your body.
And I would say if you're engaged, getting married to a quality guy, he is going to think you're beautiful. He's going to tell you that you're beautiful. He is going to be really excited to see you naked.
Yeah, he will.
That's pretty much, that's like the highlight.
Yeah.
So
if he likes you with clothes on, he'll like you even better without clothes on.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question, this actually came up a couple times, so we'll just read one of them. So I'm getting married next month and will most likely have my period on our wedding night.
Oh.
My fiance is still completely okay with us having sex that night.
Yeah, he is.
I'm sure he is. Should I bring a towel in case things are messy?
That is a great question. First off, I'm so sorry. I was so scared I was going to get my period on my wedding. And I think I just missed it. I was like, thank you, God. But yeah, bring a towel because it will get messy. But it's totally fine if you want to have sex when you're on your period. Or it's totally fine if you want to wait a few days. Just kind of talk about it and see what you're most comfortable with. And that brings us to our next question, which is, how did your process look for choosing birth control? And that was something we just kind of did some research on, talking to my doctor, talking together about it, reading up on it. And I have a video about birth control, which I've linked down below. And some of you I know don't believe in birth control, and that's totally fine. We do think it's okay to have birth control. We talked about that in that video. And when we first got married, I was really nervous about a honeymoon baby. And I don't know why, like I just didn't want to get pregnant right away. And I was really, really scared I was gonna. And so we were on the pill and condoms at the same time.
We were. Oh, okay.
I was like, I don't want to leave any room for chance here. But eventually, like, the pill just really messed with me. Like, the hormones, like, I just did not feel good on it. And
you know, talk to your doctor. Talk to your friends who are married, who you respect.
Yeah.
Talk to your fiance.
Yeah, and just see what you feel good together, and you can always change your mind later. Okay, guys, here's a real fun one. A few of my engaged friends don't know whether to shave down there or not because they haven't had sex before, and they don't know whether or not their fiance prefers hair or no hair because of the pornographic culture we live in. Great question. That is something that myself and a lot of my friends have wondered too. So there's a few different options. The main thing, again, is talk about it.
I would say, one, don't marry someone who's actively using porn. It's really toxic for your relationship.
Yeah.
Two, a lot of guys do have a history of porn, and those mental images are really hard to get rid of. That said, I'm sure your fiance will agree that having you to try to look like someone they imagine in their porn is absolutely unhealthy. So that should not be a reason for you to do anything physically.
Good point.
And a sexual relationship is something that you can figure out together. And so I think it doesn't really matter it's not really going to matter to your fiance what your pubic area looks like on your wedding night. The special thing is you get to be together, you get to be naked and do whatever you want to do without any kind of guilt. And that's the special part. So I really wouldn't put a lot of pressure. Do something that makes you feel beautiful.
Yeah, do something that makes you feel beautiful. That's really good. And there's different options. One is doing nothing. That's totally valid option. One is trimming. One is...
like with scissors.
Right. Just like, you know, like eyebrow scissors or whatever. One is like getting an electric razor, because if you use a regular razor, you're going to end up with like bumps and it's going to be itchy and it's not going to feel good.
Yeah, someone asked about that.
Yeah, don't use a regular razor. But if you use like an electric razor, that's usually easier, like a small one. Or you can do waxing. And really any of those things are valid options. And waxing for some people really hurts and for some people doesn't really hurt at all. So it's just your personal preference. What do you feel beautiful doing? On a similar note, let's talk lingerie. I feel
Will we ever stop talking lingerie?
I love talking lingerie.
Tiffany Dawn favorite.
Okay, I went lingerie shopping before our wedding, and beforehand I was like, so James, what do you want me to wear? And he's like, I don't even know what there is.
You're a resident lingerie expert.
Yeah.
Not.
He's like, just get some of each, I don't know.
Oh. Do not put those words in my mouth. You said, you don't know what you like? I'll get one of each.
It was so fun because then like every night of our honeymoon and for a few weeks after, I just wore a different kind of lingerie every night. And we figured out the ones that are like our favorites, but I just bought stuff that I felt sexy in. And I was like, yeah, girl, you got this.
Because at some level, I it's like for her, I just want it to come off.
You do like it though.
Yes, but I do eventually want it to come off.
True. So one of you wrote in, what are some must-haves for your honeymoon sex bag? Glad you asked. We actually talked more about this in the wedding night talks, but a few things you should definitely bring are whatever birth control you're using.
Yes.
If you're using birth control. Lubrication.
Big time.
Definite must-have. That will help
time.
a lot with the pain and making it not painful. Also, if you're having sex without condoms, it can get a little bit messy, so just bring a towel to put down. And then number 4 would be any kind of lingerie. you want to bring that you're just excited about. Underwear, lingerie, bras, all that.
But I would say hold the sex toys. When you're first having sex, I think it's great to just experiment, just the two of you, nothing sort of
added to the mix
added.
yet.
Add stuff to the mix later.
Someone told us that advice would say, just wait a little while till you get to practice having sex for a while before adding in sex toys, because otherwise you can easily become kind of dependent on them, and you want to like take your time and just figure it out together. So that's, again, total personal preference. That's just the advice given to us and what we did.
So someone wrote in, asked a question for me. I appreciated that. There were only like 2 or 3 of them, but thank you to those of you who wrote a question to me. Did James genuinely want to save himself for marriage, or did he only start following because that's what you wanted? Yeah, I did. To me, I felt like that was the thing that we wanted to do to honor God. I really wanted to honor God. So it was really important to not have sex before we got married.
And we have one last question for today's video, which will transition us into tomorrow's video, which is, I'm worried that waiting until my wedding night will leave me too anxious and too focused on the night instead of enjoying the actual day. That's a great question. I love anticipation, so the anticipation of our wedding night that night like added to the day.
Yeah, but at least my recollection was Tiffany was really, 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 really concerned that if we were trying to have sex that night, that it would be distracting and it would give her anxiety. And that's part of the reason that we definitely agreed, well, we're definitely going to share a bed and take our clothes off. New things for us, very exciting. But we're not going to try to have sex that night.
Right.
And so that, I think,
that
was really
helped.
That was I think that made a huge difference to you.
No pressure on me. I was like, I don't have any pressure on me, and I can just enjoy this day.
Yeah. So I think you and your fiance, because your fiance is going to be really excited about taking that wedding dress off. So I think you need to have a negotiation. You need to talk back and forth. Well, what would be special for you? Well, what would be special? This is what I'm thinking, and talk through it.
And guys, we're going to leave it there for today, and we will see you tomorrow for the actual virgin wedding night.